What's up guys, today we are reviewing a 2019 Nissan 370Z Sport Touring. As you can see in front of us, we have the brand new 2024 Nissan Z. We're not going to be doing a direct comparison because that car is completely stock, and this one is anything but stock. The owner, Henry, has a massive mod list. He said this car was built by Z Car Garage. Full list of mods I'll drop into the video description, but let me just go through some of the highlights here. Stillen supercharger with all the supporting mods. On E85, this is making 610 wheel horsepower and 440 wheel torque. That's foot-pounds of torque. On 91 pump gas, it should be making over 500 wheel horsepower. We've got KW V3 suspension, PS4S tires on Volk TE37 Ultra Track Edition 2 wheels, staggered setup, 275 in the front, 305 in the back. And more importantly, we have the 7-speed torque converter automatic transmission. I've never tried a Z with a 7-speed auto, so I'm actually very curious to see how this feels. At least it does have these proper column-mounted paddle shifters. So when this car was stock, it had a 3.7 liter naturally aspirated V6 engine making 332 horsepower and 270 pound-feet of torque. We have double wishbone suspension in the front, multi-link rear, and this car's curb weight when stock was around 3,400 pounds. It should still weigh about the same as stock considering we have a full interior. Also, I really like this aftermarket vertical infotainment display. Very easy to read, easy to use. But I'm more interested in how this car drives, because I remember when it had the stock motor, the one I drove several years back, it was a very easy car to drive, if not particularly exciting in any one area. But how does it feel with 600 plus wheel horsepower and the 7-speed auto? Let's find out. Manual handbrake. Into manual mode for the trans. We will be using paddle shifters, not this gear lever to shift, because it's push to upshift, pull to downshift. And those of you who have been watching my channel for a while know that I absolutely hate when it's in that orientation. All right, let's, oh, very touchy throttle. Wow. Okay. Not an easy car to just hop into and start driving hard. Something flying around there in the back. Let's just ignore that and focus on the drive here. Off throttle, listen to that sound. It's like a vacuum cleaner. And the downshifts aren't half bad. Pretty responsive when I pull the paddle. Not smooth though. There's definitely a very noticeable dip in torque while it's finding the next gear. It's a fast car, but I'm not sure that feels like 610 wheel horsepower. If I had to guess, I would guess somewhere in the mid 400 range. And maybe that's just due to the power band of this engine. The red line is around 7,500 RPM. The stock brakes feel decent enough on this car. 3,400 plus pounds. The car gets stopped just fine. All right, let's do a little pull. See what this supercharger is all about. Just blows through the tires in first and second gear. Maybe this is making 600 wheel horsepower. But that feeling on initial tip-in, it's very, very sensitive. Not linear at all. I'm going to leave it in third gear for these tight corners. Could use some work. It's a little bit nerve-wracking coming out of corners. Not quite sure how much throttle to apply because it's just not linear. Wow. This car's a handful. Definitely a handful. The suspension, KW V3s, They don't feel bad, but they feel soft. A little soft for hard driving. Wow. That throttle response is so unnatural. In a front engine rear wheel drive car with this much power, that is not what you want. That uncertainty. When we dial things back a little bit though, it's actually a pretty comfortable car. I think because this does have KWV3s, a very comfort-focused suspension, full interior, stock seats, which are nice and comfy, if not particularly supportive for hard driving. Good low-end torque. And every time you lift off the throttle pedal, you get that whoosh of air. That's the only thing that lets you know this thing is packing some heat under the hood. Leave it in third gear. Wow. Very noisy car when I'm off throttle. Feels pretty composed in the corners actually. The V3 is doing a good job soaking up the bumps. To drive this car again with two differences: a 6-speed manual, just so I have more control, and a retuned throttle mapping. I wonder if the throttle mapping weirdness is actually because this has an automatic transmission. I'm not sure. Whoa. Oh wow, okay, that's some power for sure. Haha. First and second gear, even with PS4S's on the back, pretty much useless at full throttle. And you gotta pull the paddle a second or two early, otherwise you bounce off that rev limiter. It could use some tweaks to make it more controllable, more predictable. All right. So there it is, 610 wheel horsepower, Nissan 370Z. Let me know what you think about this car. The Z has always been such a popular tuning platform. Whether you're in a 300ZX, 280ZX, even back to the 240Zs, there's always a large audience who buys these cars specifically to customize it to their own liking. And with such a wide variety of use cases, this car, mostly daily driven, but also there's plenty of Zs out there that are tuned for the track, or even for drifting. That's the beauty of this platform. It always has been, and let's see if that's going to be the case with the new Z. So big shout out to the owner, Henry. Let me know what you think about this build. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.